Hi kids, this is a special week. It's Earth Day week, and on April 22nd, the world celebrates the Earth. 50 years ago, we had our first Earth Day. I celebrated that too. I was just about to be a teenager. And every year, I make April 22nd a special day by doing something for the Earth outside. Well, my name is Tracker. That's my trail name. And part of my job at the Bureau of Land Management is to take students out to explore the desert Southwest. The last few weeks, my family and I have sheltered in place due to the coronavirus, and I'm sure you have too. Staying home is very important for you, for your family, and for the community. Well, while I've been sheltering in place, I've spent some time in my front yard and my backyard and found some amazing things that I want to show you. So I'm going to set down this card that I've gotten ready to sign for Earth Day, and I want to take you on a little tour of my yard, and you can see some things I've discovered. Watching birds is one of my favorite things to do. So I have a couple of bird feeders out in the yard. This one is filled with sugar water. I make it at home. It's about 1/4 sugar and 3 parts water. And I make sure that the container stays clean and filled. And it's a very popular place for hummingbirds and orioles. This time of year, birds are migrating through, so it's really nice to give them a little extra calories. Over here, I've got a seed feeder, and this feeder attracts different kinds of birds. This one will attract grosbeaks and towhees, and it's really nice to watch them. They'll spill out some of this seed as it goes to the ground. I get some quail that come by in coveys and eat these seeds. Best of all, I can watch these feeders from my kitchen window or the deck. Sometimes if I sit out here and sit real still, I can watch them from just below the feeder. This is the bird bath that we've set up. You can too. It just takes a little bit of a drip from a spigot and into a container where a bird can get in and out of easily. The little bit of noise from a splash is an attraction for birds, and you'll find that they use this bird bath for drinking and bathing, so you want to keep it clean. You can do some wildlife watching from your front yard or your backyard. Just set up a comfortable place to sit in the shade so you're kind of hidden. Be real still and quiet. And another good tool they have is binoculars. Whoops. If you can place yourself in view of a bird feeder or a bird bath, those are places that'll give you a head start to see wildlife. That lesser goldfinch got a drink out of the spigot. Well, I'm in the backyard near a wash now, and this is one of my favorite trees, especially in the summertime when it provides great shade. This is a cottonwood tree, particularly a Fremont cottonwood tree. And you can identify it by, it's kind of a heart-shaped leaf. Cottonwood trees can be boy or girl, or male and female. This one is a female, and I know that because it's produced these seed cases, and this time of year, just when it's windy, how appropriate, it produces cotton that flies away with the cottonwood tree seeds. Anywhere it lands where there's sufficient water, a new cottonwood tree may grow. Over here, we've got a desert plant that's one of my favorites. This is a creosote bush. And if you live in the desert, you know the look and the smell of creosote because it's the most common plant in the Colorado desert. Creosote is adapted to the desert in many different ways. It grows very slowly. It has small leaves. The leaves are covered with a waxy oil. And the roots of the creosote are very long. Whenever I have a chance, I like to embrace the creosote and take a big whiff of it. It smells wonderful, and it's good for my lungs as well. As we walk around the yard, we often find weeds. Not so great, but they're easy to pull, and I always pull them when I see them, and I throw them away so they can't reseed. This one here is a bromus grass, and I'm going to be really careful to pull the whole thing up. Get all these seeds, and there's usually a couple more where you see one, and I will make sure I throw these bromus seeds away so they can't grow anywhere else. This is an area with a rocky path, and we've just let it go and let the wildflowers take over. The biggest one here is a really cool one called the prickly poppy. Yes, it's prickly, so we don't walk by here during this season, but as you can see, the flowers are gigantic. It attracts a lot of pollinators like bees and butterflies. Its nickname is cowboy fried egg. As you can see, there's new buds coming that are going to create more prickly poppies. Down below, we have some purple Canterbury bells, and they're at their peak right now. They're beautiful flowers, and they have blue pollen. And next door to them is a plant that I like a lot called chia. And chia is in the mint family. It has square stems and then spiky flowers in a sphere that grow up the stem. This neighborhood is considered a rural neighborhood. That means houses aren't quite so close together, and the landscape's a little more wild. Speaking of wild, we have a lot of native plants in our yard, and that is a term that means plants that grow in a place naturally. This first one here is called white sage, and I like this plant a lot because it has a strong smell, and in the springtime it shoots long stalks, as you can see, with leaves and what's beginning to be flowers. These flowers will bloom into pretty purple blossoms. Over here we have last year's seeds that used to be flowers. And behind this white sage is a plant called jojoba. And you may have a product with jojoba in it in your house. Jojoba seeds are filled with oil, and it's used for cosmetics, shampoo, and lotion. We're not going to find seeds of jojoba on this plant though, because this is a boy or a male jojoba. And I know that because I see sacs of pollen. When the wind blows, the pollen will fly through the desert, and if it lands on a female flower, the female flower will turn into a seed. Do you think we can find another female plant nearby? Well, we didn't have to go far. Right across the driveway is a female jojoba, and we know that because there's a flower right there under the leaves. We spend a lot of time on the deck, so I put wildflower seeds in pots, and they need a little extra water. Well, I'm glad we got to spend some time together, and I had a chance to show you my front yard and my backyard. Now it's time for you to go out in your yard and explore as well. Use all your senses, your eyes, your nose, your ears, taste if it's safe, and your sense of touch. Great to see you, and oh, I just remembered there's one more thing I need to do.